Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name's Rhiannon and today I've got a very special round of Rhiannon's Bookish bingo. What makes it special is the fact that not only will I be using my bingo cage to choose my TBR, but I will also be using Becca from Becca and the Books' Bookoplathon board, which I am so excited about. I absolutely love Becca's TBR game. If you don't know, she has made her own TBR game based on the Monopoly boards. So all the different spaces are book prompts and it's just absolutely brilliant. So I will leave the playlist of Becca's Bookopoly down below. But the Bookopolathon is a month-long readathon based on a new Bookopoly board, which we have to use to choose our own TBR. This month is going to be a little bit different because I'm starting back at university on the 4th of September, and so I don't know how much time I will actually have to read, and I don't want to feel pressured to read a load of books. So I've decided that I'm going to have 3 rolls for my bookish bingo, and I'm going to have 4 rolls on the Bookoplathon board if it works out that way. I will see if I can match prompts as well, so that'll lessen the amount of books I have to read, but honestly we'll just see how it goes. I'm not sure what's going to happen, so let's just get into it. Number 69, and 69 is not on the bingo board. So roll number 1 was number 69, and that is to read a book that doesn't have a lot of hype. And for this one I've gone for This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. Now you might think, Victoria Schwab, she's a well-known author, why are you choosing her book? Which is completely fair, but I feel like this duology doesn't get any attention really. You know, people always talk about the A Darker Shade of Magic trilogy and the Vicious duology, but no one really gives this duology much attention. I have read this book before and I absolutely loved it. It was a 5-star read for me, but that was about 3 or 4 years ago now, and I never got around to the second book, and so I want to reread this just to jog my memory because I feel like I wouldn't remember half of the things that went on, so hopefully I can then dive into the second book next month. So in this world, monsters are created when people do bad deeds, and there's some sort of system to it where the people who commit the worst crimes create the worst monsters, and I think we have 3 different levels of monsters who are Sunai, Malachi and Korsai. So I believe our main character August is a Sunai who can steal people's souls by playing or singing a song. Our other main character Kate wants to be like her father. She is determined to prove that she is as ruthless as he is, and I believe she wants to try and destroy the monsters. But the city is slowly dividing and crumbling, and it turns out that Kate and August are the only 2 who can see both sides of this destruction and are the only 2 that can actually do anything to stop it. And it just says here, but how do you decide to be a hero or a villain when it's hard to tell which is which? So yeah, I cannot wait to dive back into this world. Like I said, I absolutely loved it. Hopefully it will be a fast read for me because it is a reread, but we'll see. Number 11, and number 11 is not on the bingo board. For roll number 2, we got number 11, and that is a mood read. For this one, I have chosen Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie. I have been wanting to pick this book up so much in the last few days. If you don't know, this is one of Agatha Christie's more popular novels, where we follow Detective Hercule Poirot. In this novel, the tranquility of a cruise along the Nile is shattered when one of the people aboard are shot through the head. And it says here, Hercule Poirot recalled an earlier outburst by a fellow passenger. I'd like to put my dear little pistol against her head and just press the trigger. Yet in this exotic setting, nothing was ever quite what it seemed. If you don't know, I have recently gotten into Agatha Christie's books. I have read quite a few of her works now and I just fall in love every single time. The mystery is so complex and I never seem to be able to guess who's actually the killer. And like I said, this is one of Agatha Christie's more famous works, and if you're keeping up to date with movie releases, you'll know that this book has been adapted into a film and is actually out in cinemas next month, which is why I am desperate to get to it this month. I could definitely watch the film and then go back and read this, it wouldn't hinder my experience, but I would prefer to read this first if I can, and it just so happens that I am desperately in the mood to read this book, which works out perfectly for me this month. And then the final number for today is number 23. And again, 23 is not on the bingo board. Roll number 3 gave us number 23, and that is to read a fantasy book. I am predominantly a fantasy reader, and so I was spoiled for choice on this one, but because it's the month of Becca's Bookoplathon, I've decided to go for one of her recent favourites, and that is Fortuna Sworn by KJ Sutton. This is one I bought because Becca would not stop going on about it, and it just sounded absolutely amazing. She loved it, and she basically sold it to me as soon as she said it was a dark fairy romance. Saying that though, I know nothing about this book, so I will just read you the synopsis. So it says, "We were meant to be seductive. We were designed to lure humans in. Fortuna Sworn is the last of her kind. Her brother disappeared 2 years ago, leaving her with no family or species to speak of. She hides among humans, spending her days working at a bar and her nights searching for him. The bleak pattern goes on, until she catches the eye of a powerful fairy. He makes no attempt to hide that he desires Fortuna, and in exchange for her, he offers something irresistible. So Fortuna reluctantly leaves her safe existence behind to step back into a world of creatures and power. It soon becomes clear that she may not have bargained with her heart, but her very life." This is definitely the kind of book I want to be reading leading up to October and Halloween. It sounds so dark with a load of different mythological creatures, and I feel like it's going to be such a fast read. And yeah, I've just been desperate to read this since I bought it, but I haven't really had time to pick it up, so I'm very glad that I've managed to fit it onto this month's TBR. Becca's Bookoplathon roll number 1. 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that is a book with a foiled cover. So roll 1 was a book with a foiled cover, and for that one I have gone for a book that I desperately need to read, and that is Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. I don't know how well you can see, but it is foiled on the S, and there are lines of foiling throughout the cover, so it just about works for this prompt. And if you don't know, I am actually participating in Becca from Becca and the Books' book club, which is the catch-up book club, and we are currently reading Robin Hobb's books in the realm of the Elderling series, this being the first book in the second trilogy. I did start this last month, but I only got 37 pages in, and I desperately need to read it this month. However, it is over 800 pages, so I'm a bit scared. Hopefully I'll get through it quite quickly, because I do tend to fall into Robin Hobb's books and just get so lost and engrossed in the story. I will also be listening to the audiobook for this as I read along, because that definitely helps keep my interest, and I feel like that will definitely help me to complete this book. I hate to have to do this again, but I am going to read you the synopsis just because I don't think I could describe what this book is about in any coherent way. So it says here, "Wizardwood, the most precious commodity in the world, comes only from the Rain Wilds, but only a live ship can negotiate the perilous waters of the Rain Wild River, and live ships are hard to come by. They quicken only when 3 family members from successive generations have died upon their deck. The live ship Vivacia is about to undergo her quickening. Althea Vestrit waits for the ship that she loves more than anything in the world to awaken, but her dreams of taking her father's place at Vivacia's helm is not to be, for her family have other plans. And the dark, charming pirate Kennet also lusts after such a ship. He well knows the power of Wizardwood and has plans of his own." So I feel like this is going to be politically driven. I also hope that this book is set out at sea, because that is one of my favourite settings. And to be honest with you, I don't really want to know much more, because I feel like I just want to dive straight in and just experience the story as I'm reading it, because I feel like I will definitely get more enjoyment out of it that way. Becca's Bookoplathon roll number 2. A 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that is Community Shelf, which are these cards here. So I'm just going to grab the first one, and it is a retelling. For roll number 2, we got a community chest card, and that gave me the prompt of retelling, which is any book that retells a myth, a legend, a fairy tale, anything like that. And for this one, I have chosen The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. Now, I wasn't too sure if this is actually a retelling, but I have searched online, and someone did say that there is a story in 1001 Nights called The City of Brass, and this book is a retelling of that short story. So I am going to look into it a bit more just to make sure that this does actually fit, but for now I am going to say that it does. This is Chloe from Books with Chloe's Patreon book club pick of the month. and so I really wanted to get it on my TBR. I've had this book for years, literally since it came out, and I've just never picked it up. So I'm so glad that this was Chloe's book club pick, because I do try and participate in that book club every month if I have the book to hand. So I believe in this book we follow a main character who lives in Cairo, and she tricks people into thinking that they have really bad illnesses, and she sends them to her friend's shop down the road where she gets a cut of whatever the people purchase. However, one day she awakens a djinn who lets her know that she is actually half djinn herself. That's all I know about this book, and that's honestly all I want to know. It sounds absolutely amazing. It sounds so magical. I just again want to fall into it not knowing anything so I can experience this book in its fullest. Again, this is another chunky book. It is 530 pages, but I am honestly so intrigued by this book that I don't really mind. I also can't wait to experience the Middle Eastern folklore that's in this book, because I feel like it's something I don't personally read about as often as I'd like to. So this is just a very intriguing book to me that I am so glad that I'll finally be getting to it this month.
Becca's Bookoplathon roll number 3. A 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A standalone.
Roll number 3 was to read a standalone, and for this one I have chosen Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie, which I did just talk about earlier on in the video. Because of that, I'm not going to say much again, but it is a standalone murder mystery, and yeah, very excited to get into it.
And Becca's Bookoplathon roll number 4, which should hopefully be our final roll. That is a 5, the 4 just went off the board a bit there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that is Read a Sad Book.
And roll number 4 was to read a sad book. I'm kind of stretching this one. It doesn't really make sense, but it kind of does. And for this one, I have chosen The Damned by Renee Ahdieh. If you've seen one of my recent weekly reading vlogs, you'll know that I did read The Beautiful, and it became one of my favourite books of all time. And this is the sequel to it. The Beautiful does leave off on a cliffhanger, and that did make me so upset and angry. And I feel like this is going to give me the same feeling throughout the whole thing, which I don't know if I'm ready for. It's definitely going to be emotional. I'm not sure how sad it'll be. I guess I'll just have to read it and find out. But in the first book, The Beautiful, we are set in New Orleans in the 1800s, and in that book, New Orleans is a city that is overrun by vampires. Our main character Celine finds herself fleeing to New Orleans from Paris, and she soon discovers that she fits into the dark underworld of New Orleans, and especially with a group known as Le Corps de Lion. She starts to fall for the group's enigmatic leader, Sebastien Saint-Germain, but as a string of murders start to occur, she soon suspects Sebastien himself, and so she is trying to figure out if she can trust Sebastien, as well as keeping her own secrets hidden from everyone else. But this murderer soon sets his sights on Celine, and when she tries to confront this threat, she realises that she is now in the middle of a centuries-long feud between the darkest creatures of the night. So it's a paranormal murder mystery set in the 1800s, which is honestly exactly my type of thing. That is my favourite setting of any kind. I absolutely love it. I'm so fascinated by the time period. I love mythological paranormal type creatures, and as I've said before, I do love a good murder mystery. So The Beautiful was bound to be a new favourite, and of course it was, so I just cannot wait to dive into The Damned. I ordered this one as soon as I finished The Beautiful because I could not stop myself, and since it arrived I've just been staring at it, so I'm extremely glad that I can just dive into it this month. So these are all the books that I have to read in September. Honestly, I'm extremely glad of the selection. I was so scared that Bookish Bingo and Bookopolathon would be very mean to me, but I feel like this is manageable, and they're all books that I'm so excited to get to. So hopefully that will make me want to pick them up and read all of them. Please leave a comment down below telling me if you're participating in Becca's Bookopolathon or not, and if you have any TBR videos, I would love to check them out. If you liked this video, don't forget to click the like button as well as the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content from me. But that is it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It truly means the world to me, and I will see you soon in my next video. Goodbye!